Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point. And today we are here to talk about the Book of Power, or Power Book 2 Ghost. I was hoping to bring you guys a live video, but I am on vacation. I left my tripod at home, and so it was just a struggle trying to get the camera propped up, and I didn't feel like going to the store to get a new one. So maybe next week you guys will get a live video. But let's go ahead and get started. So episode 3 was titled Play the Game. And remember, in my last recap, I said that it looked like they were going to cover a different book, like an actual literary work, a great literary work, each week. And so this week it is The Apology of Socrates by Plato. And let's go ahead and jump into this. So Kane and Drew are riding around collecting drug money, 80s style, you know, where you ride up to the guys on the corner and they give you the money and you drop it into a duffel bag. Great way to get a beat down, if you ask me, but I guess if everybody in town is afraid of you, it doesn't really matter. And then they run into, you know, you always got to have that one person that's probably using the product and doesn't have the money when it's time to pay up, and so they get a beat down real quick. And it was really New Jack City style that they had going on here, so I guess 50 Cent is having some flashbacks. And then we have Tariq and Diana. They're texting each other, and Diana seems to be a mini Monet because she is obviously being trained up to run the drug business if anything happens to Monet. And we know that the dad, Lorenzo, is already locked up. So we have this group called the GTG gang, and they are doing what millennials do. So they're selling product, moving product for Monet, or the Tajadas, I should say. But they're putting everything on IG, so it's going to be easier for the feds to build a case against Monet, okay, if these clowns get caught. Because if you're stupid enough to be doing all this dumb stuff online, then you'll probably turn real quick when the feds come. So Tasha, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I don't know why they have Tasha out here looking stupid, or maybe Tasha doesn't want to be on this show anymore, but her acting is horrible. And Paula is all over her. Paula wants nothing to do with this case, and she just keeps telling McLean that Tasha is going to bring them down, that there is no way that she can win this case. And so they go to visit Tasha, and Tasha's like, she wants to testify. But McLean is like, hell no, not with your lying ass, girl. They would catch you up so quick. But Tasha is just hell-bent that she can convince a jury that she was this traumatized wife and they should let her go. So McLean finally says that he will put her on the stand, but of course Paula objects. And what McLean really wants to do is put on a mock trial, which is basically where you pay a judge, prosecutors, and a jury to come in and hear a case to see how likely it is that your client will be found guilty or found innocent. And I told you guys in another video that I did that I actually served on a mock trial that had to do with autism or some drug or something happened to a person with autism, and I am the parent of someone with autism, and so I was on that mock jury, and we were paid, it was like $100, might not have been $100 a day, maybe like 65, 75. I remember there was a 5 in the number somewhere, and it lasted for about a week, so it was a good, you know, little extra money, and it was at nighttime, so I didn't have to miss time from work to do that. So Tariq arrives late to class again and has the nerve to have an attitude with the professor, and Professor Simmons, which is the older white guy. And so, you know, he basically calls Tariq out, like, once again, you're late and you probably haven't read the book either. But Tariq has read the book, and he actually quotes someone named Evelyn Vaugh saying punctuality is a virtue of the board, and I agreed with that because I am not a punctual person. I actually don't even have clocks in my house. I get there when I get there. So Professor Simmons asks him what did he learn from Socrates' actions in front of the Athenian court, and Tariq says nothing. He felt Socrates was stupid for not defending himself. And then Professor Simmons claps back by saying Tariq's remedial responses proves his point to Professor Milligan that the conical studies class is too advanced for Tariq. Of course, he asks Tariq to explain himself, and so Tariq gives this eloquent recital about Socrates making a mockery of the courtroom and being condescending to the jury of his peers. And the whole while Tariq was talking, I was thinking, well, dang, Tariq, sounds like you're talking about yourself, who is actually turning out to be a carbon copy of your father. Just no matter how much people try to help you, try to understand, you just can't get out of your own way. So after class, Lauren tries to tell Tariq to chill and just play the game. He's in college now, and he doesn't have to agree with the professor, but he's trying to upstage him, and that isn't the answer either, and it's just going to make things harder for him. So she tells him that he reminds her a lot of her brother, who always had to be right, and it landed him in rehab. He tells Tariq she wants to help him, and he says he's cool, but then quickly dips on her like yeah, that's good, and then he walks away from her, and Lauren had this look on her face like, N-word please, okay? So Tariq goes outside, and he's like looking through the doors back at Lauren, I guess, to see what she's doing, but he's texting Brayden to see if he still wants to make some money with him. And of course Brayden is all in, because I still think that Brayden is going to be Tariq's version of Tommy. So y'all, I don't know what they are doing to Tasha's character, but they are straight up clowning her. So they have Tasha parading around the MCC like a washed up pimp, strutting, dipping, dabbing, and running her fingers under her nose. And this was really the reason I wanted to do a live recap for you guys, because I want to demonstrate what I'm talking about. But you know how when the old pimps used to walk and they used to dip down, then they run their finger under their nose? Well, that's how they got Tasha acting in this prison. So she delivers the morning after pill to the inmate that she was trying to befriend, and I forgot to write that lady's name down, but it was something like Lakeisha or Letitia or something like that. So she asks Tasha why she's trying to make friends at a pit stop, basically saying after you go to trial, you probably won't see that person again, so why are you being nice to me? Why are you going out of your way to try and be nice to the CO, which is Marshall Meredith? And you guys know that's the black lady that be transporting Tasha around. But the inmate tells Tasha that correctional officers are not their friends, so she really don't know what Tasha's trying to do. And meanwhile, while Tasha and the lady are talking, there's a guy in the cafeteria who's spying on Tasha and records her tossing the pill on the inmate's food tray. And when Marshall Meredith walks up, he stops her and asks her, was there anything else that she wanted him to do that needed to be done on campus? And it was obvious that he was trying to stop her from going over and talking to Tasha. And then we later found out that his name is Bishop, and he works for Lorenzo Tajada. So Tasha tells the woman that her name is Tasha Green, but she says that she thought it, but then the lady tells Tasha, I thought it was St. Patrick. And Tasha replies back, she says, yeah, but that name seems to follow me around. And then Tasha takes off, looking back at Marshall Meredith, looking guilty as hell, like she was up to something she had no business doing. So we get to meet Lorenzo Tajada, and this is where we find out that the guy Bishop, who was working in the cafeteria, is actually working for him. So Tajada runs the whole prison, it looks like, playing cards with the guards, having people running errands, offering visitors a beer, Bishop reports that he gave Tasha the phone and the pill, but she gave the pill away, so they were kind of confused. And then Tajada was like, okay, well, that means that she is not sleeping with one of the correction officers. So their meeting is cut short when Tajada gets a call from Monet, and she's calling about the G2G gang posting on social media, and he tells her to send Drew to talk to the leader, whose name is Lil Guap, but Monet doesn't think it's a good idea. She wants to send Kane, and more important, she wants to cut off G2G altogether. But then Lorenzo says he can't cut G2G off because he owes Lil Guap's father, who took a bullet for him, so he is indebted to him basically for life. And so I'm trying to figure out how people locked up have the nerve to be trying to give free people orders, but he was talking to Monet like she was getting on his nerves. And so Monet tells the kids that Drew will handle the situation while she and Diana are at Zeke's game. And then afterwards, Drew and Diana walk away. And then after Drew and Diana walk away, she tells Kane to go and watch his back but remain incognito. So back in Stansfield, Zeke advises Tariq he has a paper due as soon as possible because he has a game tomorrow, and Tariq uses the opportunity to get a meeting with Monet since she doesn't want him around anymore. Tariq tells Zeke he wants to ask for permission to date Diana, but Zeke says that it's not going to happen. One, because Diana can't date, and two, Monet told him his family life and school life has to be kept separate. Child, we move back over here to Tasha, and they take her to the courthouse, and Paula has a whole glam squad waiting on Tasha. So they give Tasha some hair, makeup, lashes, eyebrows, jewelry, and a suit. Now, where do they do all that at? Because we know that ain't happening for the average criminal, because in their cases, their family have to bring them a change of clothes or they don't get one at all. So it's time for the mock trial. And Tasha is hella confused. McClain explains to her that he needs to know if she is ready for the real trial, and this is the only way. He explains it's a real judge, courtroom, personnel, and a jury, and yes, she is paying for it all. So Tasha says it's a waste of her time and her money because she knows she got this in the bag. So McClain questions her, and Tasha really thinks she's doing the damn thing, like she was living a fairy tale life, and James ruined her life when he made her hide a gun in her maternity dress while she was pregnant with the twins, with Raina and Tariq. And so those people were looking at her like she was crazy, the people on the jury, that is. So then they call in, well, actually it was the second day. So Tasha thought she did really good the first day, but then the second day they call in the prosecution to question her like it's a real trial, Tasha. And it turns out that the prosecutor is Tamika. So child, Tamika started throwing out stuff about Ghost, Tommy, Terry Silver's murder, stuff Tasha didn't know she knew, and it was a wrap. Like there was no coming back after that. So Tasha was no match. Tamika said that James didn't kill Silver because he was jealous, because he was screwing Angela. So she threw out the and Angela Valdez had an affair. And then she says that she ordered Silver's murder because he knew too much, and she also told Tommy to kill Angela because she was a threat. And so she just spent everything to make it look like Tasha was calling all these shots. So then she ordered Tommy to kill James because he was running the business by falling in love with Ramona Garrity. And I was like, ooh wee, because I had already forgot about Ramona, honey. So the jury voted unanimously to convict Tasha as a queen pin. Paula lets Tasha know if she doesn't start telling the truth, that orange jumpsuit will be her only wardrobe going forward. And hell, I'm starting to think that Tasha was the true and living ghost. So meanwhile, Tamika lets McClain know that everything she knows, Sykes knows, and then some, because he was on the case from the start, way before she got there. And she tells him the only thing she can do to save Tasha is beg Sykes for another plea deal. So McClain asked Tamika to join the team. She was like, N-word, are you crazy? So a black dream team is cute, but Tasha knows too much, did too much, and Sykes ain't stupid, even if we think he is. So McClain tries to trap her by letting her know that he knows that Tamika was representing Sykes in his own legal troubles, but Paula found a waiver where Sykes signed off to let Tamika represent Tasha. And so McClain will figure out eventually that they're all in bed together. And Paula is like, cut your ties with Tasha, do it now. But McClain says the case isn't about Tasha, it's about Sykes. So they can't cut the bait and leave. It's time to dig in, because now his curiosity is raised as far as what's going on with Sykes. Tariq meets up with Brayden at a pediatrician's office, someone named Dr. Monica Mata. And so those fools have stole blank prescription sheets with the doctor while the doctor was out of the room. And so I guess they're going to be writing fake scripts. So Brayden says he will have to go out of town to get the prescriptions filled after they write them out. And these common criminals, like, come on now. Tariq acting like he's a pro at this, but Brayden says this ain't his first rodeo, because he has a sister, I think, that was a drug addict. So evidently she used to do this as well. So on the way to Zeke's game, Diana asks Monet why can't she go off to college like Zeke? And Monet reminds her that Zeke is not her son, but Diana is her daughter. Plus, she reminds her that women that play in the WNBA make about 75% less than the men in the NBA, and that ain't no real money to be chasing after. So they discuss Lorenzo sending Drew instead of Kane, and Monet lets her know that she sent Kane just in case. And that had me to thinking that Monet must really not have that many friends, because she confides a lot in her children, and it's just kind of weird and creepy. So they talk about Tariq, and Monet says that she had Tariq checked out, but he's jinxed, so Monet needs him to stay away from them. She was basically saying that everybody he gets involved with, something happens to them, and she ain't got time for him bringing their organization down. So they run into Tariq before the game where they went to see Zeke play, and Monet gives him the ice cold shoulder like he wasn't even standing there. So Diana tries to explain that Monet is in a mood and tells Tariq about the G2G situation, just once again running their mouths too much. And since they can't sit together, Tariq leaves. Diana pulls out a phone and calls her dad and wants her dad to talk to Monet about the way she is treating her. So Zeke still can't play. He has an exchange with his replacement, which was a white guy who's filling in. He asks the coach, can he warm up with the team even though he won't be playing and get to sit on the bench, I guess because he knew that Monet was coming. But the coach tells him that it's against the rules and regulations. So the coach runs into Monet and is confused as to why she is there. He has to explain that Zeke is still on probation. Monet is really confused as to what's going on, and she thought that Tariq was going to be able to get Zeke's grades back up and get him back on the court. So at the post-game conference, Zeke participates and basically tells a reporter he's not about to let a freshman take his spot. Y'all remember that line from Love and Basketball. So basically, he's showboating and saying that he plans to be in uniform the next game and that everything is going to be worked out. And this seems to piss the coach off, and he ends the press conference immediately and gets up and walks away. So Monet was in the crowd when they were doing the press conference, and as Zeke was talking, she was egging him on and applauding, and all the other people were looking at her like she was crazy, as though they know something that she doesn't know. So in a random scene, the stripper Epiphany shows up at some white guy's dorm room pretending to be there to give him a dance he didn't order. So she puts handcuffs on him and chain him to the wall, but this whole scene was so out of place. Then she got a phone call and she started talking to her boyfriend. So I was so confused as to what was going on there. Obviously, she was there to distract him, but there was something else that she did that I obviously missed. So if you guys know, leave it in the comments. So we go over to the Lil Guap guy, and he is definitely a problem and is probably using his product. And so he's there, and he has a bunch of people, and they're just chilling and music playing, getting high and drinking, and this is definitely an issue. So Drew being all professional and trying to reason with these fools, and so they pull out a phone to make a video for the gram and get Drew in the video before he can push it away. Then Kane rolls in and basically tells Drew it's time to go, that the fun and games are over with, and then he starts firing shots in the building, which didn't make any sense. So the police show up, but luckily it is the guy Ramirez that Monet is messing with. And so Kane is ready to kill his partner, who was a white guy that chased after them after Drew and Kane when they ran away. Ramirez saves the day and tells them the perps ran in the other direction and for the cop to get in the car before they get away. So back at the house, Ramirez is there letting Monet know what happened with Drew and Kane and how he had to save them. He tells Monet they were in the area because of Lil Guap's IG post and that they heard Drew's shots, or heard Kane firing up into the ceiling. So he tells her she needs to put her business on pause because he can't keep covering for her. And he shows her the video with Drew in it that Lil Guap had taken, and Monet shuts it down by offering him some sex, like she ain't trying to hear it. And can we just say that Mary J. Blige is a horrible actress, and she just really does not look like she's cut out for this part, or maybe she just got too much going on with Lorenzo being locked up. So Monet hopped out of bed with Ramirez and into bed with Lorenzo. So in the next scene, her and Lorenzo are in the bed, and she's talking about she's going to send him some cigars. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So Lorenzo isn't worried about cigars. He's more concerned with how she's handling things. Monet is defensive that he knows that she sent Kane and Drew, but then she reminds him that she's holding it down, you know, while he's locked up, and that he just needs to trust her. And then why is Lorenzo wearing his wedding ring? Like, I didn't know that inmates were allowed to wear wedding rings, but he is doing a whole lot that a lot of inmates can't do. So Monet gets back home and is on 10. She challenges Drew and Kane on how they handled the Lil Guap situation, and it's a shame that Lorenzo knew more than she did. So next, she lit into Diana about talking to her dad behind her back, and child, these folks talking about burner phones. Do the writers not know that it is 2020 and burners are traceable? So anywho, Diana didn't use the family burner phone. She has her own separate burner phone that Monet doesn't know about. And so Monet figures it out and destroys the phone. Monet is bipolar, y'all, and she is stressed out trying to run this organization. And that's what happens when you have the kids in the family business. That's just added stress because now you're worried about something happening to your kids. Whatever Brayden and Tariq are trying to do, it isn't bringing in enough cash, and they got to try something else because it's going to take a whole bunch of money to get Tasha out of this mess that she's in. So Tariq meets up with Lauren and lets her know that he took her advice and wrote the paper for class. It turns out that Lauren got an A, but Tariq received a no credit. She apologized and told him to talk with Professor Simmons to find out, you know, what he needs to do to improve his grade. So Professor Simmons walks up and tells Tariq, although he wasn't impressed with the paper, he didn't fail him. He said that it fulfilled the requirements, and he advises Tariq that he is above grading papers and he should go talk to Jabari, aka Professor Reynolds. So Jabari tells Tariq that it was a good paper, but the assignment was to defend the opinion of the apology, not to kiss up to Professor Simmons. And so Tariq is feeling like he can't win for losing. So Jabari tells Tariq to stop gaming the system and that the grade will stand, that he's not changing it. And so it's not Tariq's job to try and prove to the white folks that they are right or that he's right. It is his job to be exceptional unapologetically. So before Tariq came into Jabari's office, Jabari was on the phone leaving a message for Carrie because she's not returning his calls and hasn't been in since their little sexcapade in the last episode. And after Tariq leaves Jabari's office, a grad student named Melissa arrives, and she wants her some Jabari and wants him really bad. And so she tells him that she read his first book, which was titled Raw, and she wants to be the female character in the book who the way they were talking is obviously based on Carrie. So Jabari tries to deny her, but Melissa is determined. Carrie finally comes in, and I think that Jabari heard her because as Melissa is leaving, he has a sudden change of heart and decides to blow her back out real good. So Carrie can hear the moaning and groaning and the banging and slinging, and so she grabs her things and leaves because now she knows that Jabari is in there banging someone, and that's probably going to trigger whatever she's seeing the counselor for, and then she'll be out here trying to compete with this college student. So Tariq returns to his room and goes off on Zeke because he's playing video games while Tariq turning in mediocre papers, and Tariq asks to talk to Monet again. So Monet shows up after she goes off on Diana, and Monet thought that Tariq was gone. She agrees to talk to Tariq after all, and Tariq gives her a big bag of cash and explains he made it in a few hours without leaving the campus, because Monet was looking at him like, boy, that ain't no money. But he was like, no, this is money because we did this in a couple of hours. So this fool asked Monet how much time would it take her to make money like that, and she told him to be very careful who he is accusing of being a criminal. So Tariq finagles his way in using reverse psychology on Monet, and just like that, she agrees to work with him. Tasha calls, and Monet looks down and sees the phone and tells Tariq, mamas don't like being placed on hold, so go ahead and answer the phone. And so while Tariq is talking to Tasha, she leaves the room, and so the reality of Tasha's situation has finally sunk in, and she wants Tariq to get the money by any means necessary to be able to pay for McLean so he can get her out of prison. And so Monet tells Tariq, part of working with them is that he is going to have to move out of the dorm room with Zeke because she doesn't want Zeke around drugs or getting caught up in any criminal activity. And so Tariq moves in with Brayden, and then Monique lets Lorenzo know what is going on. He calls Tasha and lets her know that Tariq now works for him and that if he messes up, he will kill Tariq. So there was a whole lot going on in this episode, and I did not mean for this video to be this long. But anyway, there is your recap, guys. I just think that the writing is getting so far off base at this point, and that Tasha, probably the best thing to happen to Tasha is that she gets killed, because it just seems pointless at this point for her to get out of jail. And what is she going to do? Like, just be an extra on the show? So my prediction is that something is going to happen to Tasha. Tasha is either going to get killed or Tasha is going to get sent to prison. And then Tariq is probably going to get caught up with these doggone Tajadas. And then we're going to see all the killing that we used to see with Tommy and Ghost. So that's it for me. Leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.